Or just in case. You never know.
Is Amber going to make a surprise appearance?
You know, Bosch, it's college life. People can just pop in at any point.
He doesn't live in a dorm. He lives in an apartment.
That's true. That's true.
Got the shirts. They're all packaged up, ready to go out tomorrow.
Nice. I'm excited.
I'm excited about them, but it's disappointing that like our profit margin just went to shit.
Yeah.
Like
and you seemed pretty disappointed that it was a different quality.
Oh, I am pissed about that. I mean, like, they're still very, very nice shirts, but I mean, it's now the exact same shirt as SFB 8. Like, it's that exact material. And to me, there's a huge difference between that and the kind of shirt that I really, really love.
So how does that compare to the DGN shirt?
The DGN one is softer than the
see there's not much there's not a huge difference between that and SFB for me.
I think there is. And the SFB 7 ones, those were money. Those were fantastic.
I was so pissed that I didn't get one of those. I don't know how I missed it. Like I when they first started selling them, I meant to get one and then I didn't, and then they were gone. I feel like they didn't sell them the whole time like they did this year.
They didn't sell them the whole time this year either. They just did two different runs. Nope, 2 separate runs.
I don't know why they just don't keep it rolling. They'd get so much more.
I have learned why. You want to know why?
I do, actually, yeah.
It's a hell of a lot more expensive to print on demand. I guarantee you, I went and saw my cousin's new place the other day when I picked up the shirts. And there's a reason that now he's getting into doing like shops for people. He's getting rid of basically all of his just shirt inventory, which means his overhead's going to go way down and they're going to start basically printing on demand, which they can do now. He got a whole bunch of new systems and stuff where if somebody orders like one shirt, it puts it in the queue and they can pull a color shirt to print it. And then they print it and they send it out. They do all the shipping, all the packaging, all that stuff. But they get like 80% of the cost then.
Yeah.
But of course, there's no upfront cost then for the people that are selling the shirts. Like I think DLF might end up using him, which would be probably pretty good for him. I'm imagining DLF does a fair amount of merchandise if they try to push it.
Yeah.
I talked to Adam Levitan today because he mentioned that did Riley just put more food in?
What? I'm hungry.
Because he mentioned
Three Musketeers bar.
He mentioned that he needs to make like a Gender Lab shirt, and I was like, "Holy shit! A Gender Lab shirt would sell like big time if he made that. And if he doesn't make it, what's going to happen is fucking RotoWare is just going to make it.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody understand how much money RotoWare is making off of the ideas of other people? It's a ton.
It's ridiculous
because it costs them nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. They have the overhead of like the building and the equipment, but like they don't print the shirts until they're ordered now because that's the same exact setup that my cousin has with these shops. So like anytime somebody mentions something on Twitter, RotoWare like steals the fucking idea and prints and puts it on a shirt, sends it to that person and says like, "Hey, look at this shirt we just made."
Yeah.
Nobody has been like, that's mine.
Right.
Everybody
I said
hey,
that.
That's really cool. Like, dude, you're just totally fucking stealing from people. I don't know. I have some issues with RotoWare. It pisses me off that they don't donate 100% of the profits of the SFB shirts.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Because I know how much the shirts cost. They sold 300 of them, and they donated like $10 a shirt. They make a shit ton more than that. They're keeping like $10 a shirt too. Then, so I mean, I get it. It's a business, but like. Scott goes out of his way to use RotoWare to promote the community of fantasy football. He doesn't have to do that.
Yeah.
They could donate. They should donate every penny they make off the SFB shirts just for the promotion that they get from them. It ain't like even like I read that Athletic article, and they even said like they talked about the shirts, and it was their biggest seller over the summer.
Yeah.
So I mean. They probably made like $3,000 off that. They donated like $3,000. So I mean, they made 6, but they donated half, I think. Like,
Yeah.
donate all of it. Like, I really do want to bring it up to Scott. Like, dude, I know my cousin will do this, and he won't take a fucking penny off of it. So instead of donating $10 a shirt, we can double that. Like, I know Danny would do it. Like, he's a huge community person. He cares about money, but he doesn't like. He would take the hit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not gonna
donating.
like. You could take your. I mean, I don't think anyone would blame someone for taking overhead. Like, you just don't profit off of it.
Correct. And there's no way they did not profit off of it with the amount that they sent. Because I think the shirts were like $35, weren't they?
I don't even remember. Yeah, probably.
I mean, it wasn't like a $20 t-shirt. It was like $35, I think.
Yeah.
And I know their cost to make them. What did we pay on the shirts? Like $8 something.
Yeah.
Like, that's the cost to make them now. Like, no, I think it was a little bit less than $8. So like $9 a shirt is the cost to make them. And Danny, like, he includes a little bit of, or no, we do get 20% off, but that basically covers like the labor and stuff that he has to pay for somebody to stand at the print machine and pull them off and fold them up and stuff like that. So, you know, like, I think the cost is like maybe $11, and they sold them for $35 and sold 300 of them. That math doesn't add up. That frustrates me. I love the idea of RotoWare. It's a genius thing. And I'm sure the guy like that does it has a print shop that does regular stuff, and just he's in the fantasy football world, so he realized this niche market that he can add to. But the fact that it annoys me that nobody gets profit off of it but them, and it's other people's ideas.
Right.
That's why, like, Levitan needs to get it to, like, he said, yeah, he's interested, but he doesn't want to deal with it until after the season, which totally understandable. But like, if he doesn't, I would not be shocked to see RotoWare just make their own shirt, and then Levitan doesn't see a penny of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's silly. I think you guys will make more next year on your on the second go round of the telethon. Like,
oh, our goal is going to be 10 grand.
Wow, that's my goal for the eliminators, dude.
Yeah, we made 5 in the first year, so
that's awesome.
And that was literally put together in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
10 grand, holy shit.
That's the goal.
If we're making 10 grand, then I'll be very happy.
Yeah, not us, Riley. This is donations to.
I guess I jumped in at the wrong part of that conversation.
Donations to Fantasy Cares.
I heard 10 grand and I started listening.
Care about us.
Yeah, no.
We are in a charity case, unfortunately.
Riley is a poor college student, but I don't know that we can get away with that.
Yep.
All right, I got that listed.
Although, hey, I'm a senior now.
Hey, look at you.
Official or finals done?
As of yesterday.
Nice, congratulations.
I needed a 46 on my marketing exam to get a B.
Nice.
Oh shit! So you could have gotten a C without even taking it?
Yep.
I would have taken the C.
Take the C.
Yeah.
I needed the B to keep my scholarship money for the next year.
Okay. Then, yeah, then you do it. Yeah.
I got to keep a 3.25. Your
Wow.
boy's at a 3.27.
That's rough, man.
That is
Fucking
rough.
close.
3.25 is a lot.
Dude, mine was, I told you, or maybe Kevin, you might have been gone the night that we talked about that. I had to keep like a 3.75 for mine. It was fucking ridiculous.
That's
Christ.
stupid.
I just waited and started working and made work pay for college.
I kept mine until the final semester, but it was after I'd already gotten into pharmacy school, and I was just like, fuck it. It was like, hey, more senioritis. I had 3 rounds of it.
My grades don't matter anymore.
Exactly.
Hey, fun fact, they didn't matter before.
Except for scholarship.
School doesn't matter.
Scholarship's the only thing.
No, because if I lose my scholarship for the fall, fuck that. I mean, it doesn't matter. School doesn't matter in general.
No.
I agree.
I've been talking to Bosch too much, and I've realized that it doesn't matter. I have literally applied nothing I've learned in school to working at Liberty Mutual.
You will never apply anything.
It's people skills and common sense.
The only thing school does is provides you the required paper for some jobs and separates those who can learn something quickly. That's it. Like that's all it does.
See, there's the key though, right? And that's why it'll always be around, is because it does separate the people that have some kind of drive and dedication from those who don't.
I think you can have drive and dedication and succeed in other ways. But for traditional, if you want to succeed in the traditional manner.
No. Sure. Like, I'm not saying it's the only way to succeed. Yeah. However, I'm not saying you have to.
I gotcha.
Just like for people, for businesses, if you put that requirement on there, you can at least be assured that someone has had 4 years worth of dedication to do something.
Correct.
So. All right.
Mine was to have my job. It's required by law that I attend and pay for school, which is ridiculous.
I hope I wouldn't go get a prescription filled and my pharmacist be like, you know what? I just really want to do this. But I said, fuck college, man.
Riley, you know how much
all about drugs.
I bet you I learned more just from working in pharmacies than I did. I mean, I learned a lot in pharmacy school, but the amount of stuff that I actually used.
Oh, I'm sure it's like that everywhere.
Still used. I mean, I bet you it's not even 5% of what I learned in school. And if I had to do it again, like I would not pass any of those classes right now. Yeah. I'd fail them all.
My master's obviously was very insurance related. It's master's in insurance management, but even that was even that I don't use on a daily basis. I use absolutely nothing from undergrad.
I didn't know Liberty would pay for my MBA.
Yes.
Most companies will do that now.
Liberty paid for my undergraduate.
When I found that out, Liberty got really that much more attractive.
Yep.
Express Scripts will pay for me to get an MBA. And I'm like, why the fuck would I need an MBA? They just love having people that have that.
Yep.
Like, no chance. You'd have to pay for my school and like pay me a lot of extra money to give up that time.
All right. Let's see here. All right, so this is still recording. So we've been recording for a while.
Yep, got a lot of outtakes.
It's good conversation. That's really good conversation.
You guys haven't.
I said fuck school. I said fuck school at least 5 times.
Nice. You haven't started your locals yet, correct?
I think I bashed some people.
Yeah. All right. So let's see.
Fuck UDP.
Let's not get into that now. We'll never get started.
God. I feel bad though. I think Pete Lawrence joined.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's his own problem.
He'll figure it out.
He'll learn quick. He'll only be there a year, so it's not going to matter.
That legal start over. They were pushing for a start over this morning.
Oh my God!
Before I left,
Tyler fucking pushed that. So he has
no.
That
Tyler said no. Too. Tyler said no
because he likes his team. He's got a good team.
It's because he's first place now. 6 months ago, he'd have been like, hell yeah, start over.
He tried to do that in the Happy Hour Listener League too.
And then
here's the thing,
hey,
though.
You guys want to redraft? We're like, dude, the fucking league is 3 years old. Like,
in my opinion, though, if you lose that many players, you should start over. The league should be disbanded and restarted.
The league should be disbanded.
But
he texted me yesterday or the day before, and he's like, "Hey, do you remember the playoff rules in UDP? Like after the first round, do we reseed?" And I'm like, I just responded, "Dude, I have no idea."
He's the reason why I quit.
Like, why in God's name would I still know that? Why isn't it written down anywhere? For 2 years, we've said
he wanted to change the taxi rules mid-season. He was just going to bump the taxis.
Again?
No, that was last year.
Yeah, that was last year. He straight did it. Oh, well. You're right. We should not talk about UDP. That's too long. Too long of a conversation. Right. You could get all your Festivus ranting right there.
I can't do that for Festivus.
Yeah, do not do that for Festivus.
There's this league.
I will guarantee you 100% that Tyler doesn't listen to Funhouse anyway. So.
Oh my gosh, there's this league.
No chance. So you can do it all you want.
You guys aren't a big enough name for him to listen to.
Yeah, we're not important enough for him to listen to.
Guarantee. He does only listen to like the big names, I think. Yeah. I like Funhouse. I like you guys.
Thanks, appreciate it. We have fun doing it. So, all right, let's get started here. Pull it together.
I'm picturing it.
Count us down. Picturing what?
Me doing the Festivus recording, talking about Tyler in the league.
I did bash a league that I left, but it wasn't UDP.
Oh man.
Which league did you leave that you bashed?
It's run by, do you remember Tim from DTC? Long ago, Tim
Smith.
Tim Smith. Yeah.
I liked him. I think he's
I liked him too. I've now left 2 of his leagues because he's a terrible fucking commissioner.
really. I'm in the league that he commissions.
Oh, is he the one that they were talking about the other day?
He's a dynasty professor.
Yes. And I do like him. Like, I have good interactions. So Northwest, I did with Tyler and Whitman a couple years ago. Last year, my team was so fucking good, and I was the 1 seed. And he paired it up to play the winner of the 3 and the 6 seed. Or he didn't pair it up. MFL just defaults to that. And I said, dude, this is wrong. I should be playing the winner of the 4-5 seed. And he said, no, we can't change it now. That's how it is. And I'm like, can you explain to me why that's how it is? And he's like, well, that's how MFL has it. And I'm like, yes, MFL has it wrong. You have to adjust it as the commissioner. And so I'm just like trying to, like, I feel like I'm screaming at somebody that's just like, I don't even, like, none of this makes sense because I can't think. So that pissed me off. I got 3rd in that league, took my money and fucking left that league. That was terrible.
Was it because do you just hate all brackets in general, or is it just because the bracket wasn't even set up correctly?
The bracket was set wrong. And I said it before the playoffs even began. Like, it's not like I waited until week 2 when all of a sudden I was playing against the 3 seed.
Right.
As soon as they released the brackets, I was like, dude, those are wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I should be playing the winner of the 4-5 seed, not the winner of the 3-6 seed. And he's like, well, this gives you the chance to play the lowest seed in the league. And I said, it also gives me a chance to play the 3rd seed. Like,
right. The more likely chance is that I will play the 3rd
show
seed.
Me any bracket of any kind of major tournament of anything that is set up where there's a chance. I said, why in March Madness then doesn't the winner of the 1-16 seed play the winner of the 2-15 seed?
Right.
And he had no answer for that. So I lost.
We had that issue in the league I'm in with him where he commissions last year.
Yes.
I was the 1 seed
because he doesn't believe that you should change it.
But I said, shouldn't I play 4-5? And I ended up playing 4-5.
He fixed it. See, guess who won it last year? He did. He did. He won it. Yeah. I got 3rd and he won.
He wasn't in the playoffs last year when I was in there.
Yeah, big difference. So
sorry.
I left that league.
Sorry, buddy.
So then in Breaking Best Ball, which was, I actually took over an orphan of Tyler's. So you can imagine how the team looked. It was basically Mike Evans and Allen Robinson and nothing else. And I was like, fuck. But I really like Breaking Bads and I like the group. So I was like, this will be a fun league. I don't have a Breaking Bad based league. This year, after week 6, in the chat, like I was like, hey, aren't we supposed to do like a mid-season, draft? Like, when are we going to do that? My team is in second last place. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Philip Lindsay are both on the waiver wire, which means I would get one of them. This was back in week 6.
I remember you telling me about that.
MVS had huge trade value right there. Plus, Lindsay was doing very well, like huge. I asked it, RL Kenya. Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
He's in another league that I'm in, but RL Kenya, I think is his KANIA is his Twitter handle. He was in last place and we both are asking. And finally Tim responds, I don't have time to set it up. So we're just going to skip it this year.
Oh, that's not cool.
And I'm just like, what the fuck are you're just, what? You're just going to skip it? Like, so who's going to get these guys next year? So I have to choose now between next year. I have to choose between Philip Lindsay or, like one of the rookies when we actually do the draft, when I should have both of them. Like, what the fuck? So that was it. I was like, fuck that. I'm out of this league. See ya.
Damn. He's a good commission and the one I'm in. Like I've had no issues.
Maybe he's only a bad commission if it doesn't benefit him.
I don't know. We can start now, Kevin.
Yeah, sorry. You asked why or what league I left. So I had to tell the story of it.
What league you left was a pretty quick answer.
You wouldn't have understood why. Sorry. Breaking Best Ball. Does that help you?
Yeah, there you go.
You would have followed up with why.
Yeah. Anyway, we're only doing one tonight, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, sounds good. Riley's not ready for wide receivers anyways, I'm sure.
So.
Oh, well. It is what it is.
All right. So I'll count us down here. And 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome, everybody, to the Dynasty Wall Street podcast. This is episode number 23, and I'm your host, Kevin Cotillo. I have with me Riley Bymaster, fresh off his finals. What's going on, Riley?
Fresh off the finals, feeling good. Ready to talk some Dynasty Wall Street values with my two best friends in the entire world.
I appreciate you saying that. It's nice to talk Wall Street values here. There was so much talk about the playoffs right now, and everyone's obviously fighting for championships, which we can completely understand, but it's still good to take stock of what values you got on your team and what you're doing in the future. John Bosch is here to help us break that down as well. What's going on, John?
Not much. Like you said, I'm ready to start looking at the values. It's time to start planning for 2019 if you haven't already started that process.
Absolutely true. We definitely need to start looking ahead. And in order to do that, we are going to do something a little bit different with this episode. But before we get into that, I want to remind you that we do have t-shirts available. You can hit us up on Twitter at Dynasty Wall Street with an ST for street there, at Kevin Cotillo, at John Bosch FF, or at DTC_Riley B. Any one of us can get you a shirt. Just let us know the name or the size and you know, all of that stuff. So they're $20, super soft. They're ready to go. We got them in stock now, so hit us up anytime you want if you would like a Dynasty Wall Street t-shirt. So what we're going to do tonight, we are going to do something a little different than we normally do. We're going to go through some positions. We're going to start with quarterback here tonight, and we're going to do a series of these. So over the next 4 episodes, we're going to do quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And we're going to start with quarterback. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the current DTC value. So the Dynasty Trade Calculator value that you can find on dynastytradecalculator.com. And we're going to look at their positional rankings by those values. So in other words, Patrick Mahomes is the number one valued quarterback on the Dynasty Trade Calculator podcast. So he'd be ranked number 1. We're going to look at those rankings and we're going to compare them to our own rankings, but not our rankings currently. We're going to compare them to what we expect the rankings to be prior to the start of the 2019 season. So a little bit of a look ahead for us. It's how we've done, John Bosch and I have done this in the past where we've looked at his rankings from one year and what his rankings are expected to be the following year and gives us a good snapshot of both. So we're going to do that, go through quarterbacks tonight, looking at our rankings as we expect them to be prior to the season in 2019 and what they're currently valued in for DTC today. Riley, I know you had some struggles with this. Did you get that this time? Are you on board?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I'm good now. I'm good. I'm ready to go.
All right. Riley doesn't read rules very well, so we're going to help him through this as we go along. Hopefully
I didn't prep for finals. I didn't prep for this.
There you go.
What are you going to do?
You're good. All right, so I'm going to start off by going through the top 12 on the trade calculator.
Do you have the trade calculator pulled up? Because obviously what I put in the chat only goes to like 15 or something or 20 or something.
Yeah,
okay.
I have all the way through Alex Smith at 31. So you're good.
Okay.
So I'm going to do the 12 first.
Yep.
And then we'll go through. All right, so I'm going to go through the top 12 and the Dynasty Trade Calculator values here first, and then we'll kind of talk about our 12 and maybe some tiers and things like that as well as we go through this, because the tiers definitely help us break it down. So the Trade Calculator has Patrick Mahomes, obviously, at number 1. Andrew Luck comes in at number 2. Carson Wentz at number 3. That's not right, is it?
That is correct.
Is it?
Yep.
All right. Aaron Rodgers at number 4, Jared Goff at number 5, Cam Newton at number 6, Deshaun Watson at number 7, Russell Wilson at number 8, Mitchell Trubisky at number 9, Baker Mayfield comes in at number 10, Kirk Cousins at number 11, and Matthew Stafford at number 12. So, John, we'll start with you on this one, and we're going to start with our first tier because we rank them into tiers. How many quarterbacks do you have in your first tier?
I have 1 in my first tier.
And Riley, how many quarterbacks do you have in your first tier?
Just 1, and I tell you, just Dak Prescott's the best.
It's obviously
Amari
not
Cooper.
Dak Prescott. You guys both have Patrick Mahomes in a tier all by himself. I have Patrick Mahomes in the first tier as in the number 1 spot as well. I do have him in the tier of 5 though, so I take that for what it's worth. My top tier is a little bit bigger than yours is. Bosch, why is Mahomes a tier by himself?
For me, I mean, just the age difference is huge. I'm fully buying in. I think he is just special. I think when he goes out on that field, he's going to score more points. And actually, he provides an advantage at a quarterback position. I'm not somebody that has Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately. I play a lot of, streamer level quarterbacks because typically it doesn't matter. As long as you have somebody in there starting, you're fine. I can play Nick Mullins and be happy on a lot of my teams right now. But Patrick Mahomes is different. I think he's got that much extra value to him. So to me, he's a tier of his own.
So let me ask you a question. Let's look back for a second. And this is off the cuff. You don't have them in front of you. But let's think back maybe 4 months to August of 2018 prior to the season. Did you have anyone in at the top that may have been close to by themselves?
I don't think I had anybody by themselves. I think back then Aaron Rodgers would have been my number 1. Okay. But I think he was probably tiered with Carson Wentz, if I'm not mistaken.
Riley, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same. It was Rodgers, Wentz, and then take your pick out of the next 3 or 4 guys. But I mean, it was those 2 on top of most people's boards, I'd say.
So Wentz is the guy I wanted to highlight there, and that you have him in a tier of 2 is fine. I guess the point I was trying to make there is, and it's the only argument I think that is the potential argument against Mahomes, right? Because I don't think there is. We all have him at number 1. I think everyone in the dynasty world has him at number 1 right now, and that's fine. The reason I don't tier him by himself is because we've seen this before with young quarterbacks. And by all accounts, Mahomes has been phenomenal. But we've seen dips into the second year of their starting and things like that. We've seen bright stars fade a little bit and come back to the norm. Obviously, Carson Wentz isn't as high up as he would have, was in previous years. I'll tell you, I have him at 4. I don't know where you guys have him. We'll get into that. But so I just that's my only argument that I think could be made against Mahomes in a tier by himself.
I think you're arguing just to argue, Kevin.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, let's get on to the second tier for you, Bosch. Then who's in your second tier?
It's Andrew Luck and Aaron Rodgers. And if I could shade the color of the next cell in between, tier 2 and tier 3, it'd be Carson Wentz. So he's in my third tier, but man, he's really close to right there with those guys for me. So Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers, and then I could see Carson Wentz sliding in.
Okay. There's a guy in my top tier of 5 that is obviously missing from that, but we'll get into that in a second after we hear from Riley in his top tier or second tier, because I got a feeling the missing guy will be in his second tier.
He is in my second tier. My second tier has 4 players. I actually have Wentz at 2, Luck at 3, our boy Jared Goff at 4, and then Aaron Rodgers at 5. So they're all close. You can all make an argument. I think Rodgers is still going to give you the best output, but he's the oldest. They all 4 have an interesting combination of age and skill and value. So I mean, it's splitting hairs. I think they're all pretty close, but I mean, in a nutshell, I think that's how it's going to be aligned next year.
Yeah, Riley, I agree with you. Those are my top 5 as well. Obviously, I just don't have the tier break for Mahomes, but I can certainly understand why you would. So outside of my arguing, just to argue, I can understand it for sure. Bosch, Aaron Rodgers was notably out of your top 2 tiers there as well. Is Carson Wentz?
Rodgers is in mine.
Oh, he was? Where was he at?
He's not. He's the third. I have him listed third for now.
Okay. My order is Andrew Luck at 2, Goff at 3, Wentz at 4, and Rodgers at 5. So those are my top 5 in that first tier. And I think that's kind of where I break a little bit and see a next tier down. So Riley and I are on the same page a little bit. Bosch, you kind of had a little bit more separation. Tell us more about your Carson Wentz tier.
Yeah, so in with that third tier, like I said, Carson Wentz I think is like halfway between them. I also have Deshaun Watson, Cam Newton, and then that's where I have Jared Goff as well. I'm still a big fan of Deshaun Watson. You know, he was everybody loved him before they loved Patrick Mahomes. I love that he's paired with DeAndre Hopkins, obviously. That to me is a huge boost for him. I don't see that tandem breaking up anytime soon, so I will continue to like Deshaun Watson. And Cam Newton, I mean, what he does is different than a lot of the quarterbacks we've talked about, but he still scores a lot of fantasy points. He is getting a little bit older too, which does concern me that he's not going to be able to continue to play that way. But I don't think he's going to just stop doing it. I think he's still going to have plenty of attempts at the goal line, even though our boy Christian McCaffrey is starting to get some of that action. Kevin, I don't see Cam Newton going away. Jared Goff, I actually do have the bottom of the third tier. I'm a little bit lower on him than you guys. You know, I think he is very, very good, and he is young. But I'm not sold that offense doesn't sometimes just go completely Gurley heavy, and Goff kind of gets lost for a game or two at a time. And to me, losing a quarterback when you're paying that kind of a price for him, I don't want him to be at risk of being lost scoring wise at all.
You know what doesn't concern me as much about the Gurley effect, as we're going to call it from now on, is that he's been so active in the passing game that even games where he goes off, it's still benefiting Jared Goff.
Yep, usually.
Yeah. So Riley, you're into your third tier as well here, and you want to kick it off and let us know where you went at number 6. Do we differ here, or do we stay on the same track?
So just to clarify, these are not my rankings. These are where I think they're going to be
2019, or right before the season 2019.
Value-wise, right before 2019.
So 8 months from now.
Correct. Again, I want to say these are not my rankings because I would not have Deshaun Watson at number 6. But I have Deshaun at number 6.
Okay.
I have a tier of 4 players here. Watson at 6. Mr. Baker Mayfield himself at 7. Russell Wilson 8. Cam Newton at 9. They're all very similar players. Good arms, good athletes with, you know, pretty good offensive weapons aside from Russell Wilson, but he's probably the best quarterback out of that group right now. But I have him at 8 just because it's the Seahawks, and they'll probably take another running back in the 2019 first round. Yeah, I think they all kind of align in this in the same value.
So Riley and I continue our trend of very similar. My difference being I'm in a second tier as opposed to a third tier, which we've obviously gone over here.
Not picky, Kevin.
But my tier is, you know what? I'm doing it just for the sake of it. I'm putting Mahomes in his own tier. So this will be my third tier now. We're going to call it. It also has 4.
Spicing up life, Kevin. Way to go.
We're breaking the missionary for just tonight. So my tier has 4 players as well. Riley, I put Baker ahead of Deshaun.
Attaboy.
And I have Deshaun immediately after him at number 7. Russell Wilson comes in at number 8 for me as well. And I promise you we did not discuss this beforehand since Riley is doing this as we go. And so here's my weird one, and you guys are going to crush me for this. Josh Rosen comes in at number 9 for me.
Oh, wow.
I like it. Like
it. So here's the thing. Cam Newton was an obvious consideration. He actually continues to fall for me in my next tier too, just because I think people are I don't know. I don't trust him, and I think people will start to see more and more people will start to get on that side of things. I know he's been very productive. I do think Christian McCaffrey is going to continue to run and get more run, and it'll be interesting when we go over wide receivers to see where you guys have guys like DJ Moore and I'm sure Curtis Samuel won't end up in this discussion, but guys like that, because I'm curious how that'll impact Newton going forward. But anyway, he doesn't make this tier for me. Rosen does, because I think that offense is going to be somewhat overhauled in the offseason. I'd like to see them draft some offensive line help. I'd like to see them bring in another wide receiver or two. And I'd like to see them get an entirely new coaching staff. And I think if they can do that, Josh Rosen to me has still shown enough that he makes some dumb decisions, but he's got the arm talent. I think he can play the quarterback position very well. And I like what I've seen. I think with the right offensive mind coaching him and in the right system, I think he'll be a very good quarterback. So I'm going to put him at number 9.
Wow.
Go ahead, Bosch.
I love Rosen. You know that. I don't see any chance in the world that he rises above so many quarterbacks that I have between here and there. Let me start out with saying our top 9 are almost all identical except for Rosen. Yep. I have Baker at 8 and Russell Wilson at 9 in a tier of their own. So those are kind of my 4th tier. So maybe I just split my tiers up a little bit more. But overall, our picks come out being pretty similar, which is, I guess, not surprising as much as we talk about players. I can't put Rosen all the way up there. I would love to, even if he truly does develop that quickly and all those things fall into place. I don't think the value of him is going to react as quickly. Maybe that's a good reason to go target him and go get him in the off season.
I just started looking at all of these other players, and if I'm a dynasty owner looking to buy a quarterback, he's the guy that I want over all of these other players that are coming after him. He's the guy that I think has the most upside. There's
another rookie quarterback that I have a feeling we're about to get to that the dynasty world likes way more than they like Josh Rosen, and his value is definitely going to be higher than Josh Rosen's at the start of next year.
Well, let's keep going here. You just gave us a tier of 2, Bosch, to get to your 10th player, I think.
Correct. I've done my top 9 now.
You've done your top 9. I've gone through my top 9. Riley's gone through his top 9. We're pretty consistent with what we've seen on the board from DTC as well. Mitchell Trubisky came in at number 9 on the DTC. We haven't seen him yet. Baker Mayfield's the one that jumped ahead of Trubisky for both of us. So as of that, we're pretty consistent. So I'll start with 9 here on the DTC just to catch everybody up and remind everyone again. Mitchell Trubisky's 9, Mayfield is 10. Then it's Kirk Cousins, Matthew Stafford at 12. Matt Ryan comes in at 13, Drew Brees at 14, Lamar Jackson at 15, Josh Rosen at 16, Jimmy Garoppolo at 17, Dak Prescott at 18, Tom Brady at 19, and Roethlisberger at 20. So we'll go up to the top 20 there. But Riley, give me your next tier. How many players is it?
My next tier is 4 players.
Okay.
And it's 4 players that are really confusing. Number 10 is Kirk Cousins. Number 11 is the new starter for the Baltimore Ravens, Mr. Lamar Jackson. 12 is Mitch Trubisky, as much as I'm not a fan. And Dak Prescott rises up to number 13. Okay. It's players who have high ceilings and just very low floors. And I think they all fit really well together.
All right. Bosch, you wanna go for your next tier since your last one was only 2 players?
Yeah, mine is extremely similar to Riley's. This time I actually have 6 grouped together. As you start to get lower, I start to see less and less difference between the players. Lamar Jackson is 10 for me. I think he is going to just rise in value throughout the offseason. We're going to see him playing the preseason, leading that team, being the whole offseason is going to be Lamar Jackson as a Baltimore Raven instead of he's the backup to Flacco. When will he take over? he's going to have the reins. So I think he's going to rise. Kirk Cousins, I have then at 11. I do have Trubisky at 12. I have the Matts actually just above Dak. So I have Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan. I think their consistency basically locks them basically where they've been for kind of a long time and where they'll probably stay for a couple more years. And then at the end of the tier, I do have Dak Prescott. I do see how he could rise up, but for now I have him at the bottom of that tier.
Who was in between Dak and Cousins? Sorry.
So I have Lamar Jackson, Cousins, Mitchell Trubisky, Matt Stafford, and Matt Ryan.
Stafford, okay.
And you can basically put them on the same line because to me they feel pretty much still the same quarterback. And then Dak Prescott at the end of this tier. Sorry, Kevin, I am breaking your heart not mentioning the guy that leads off my next tier.
Yeah, he is in this tier for me.
Of course he is. I can't believe you've waited this long.
It's a tier of 6 players, actually. And I'm kind of surprised. There's a guy that didn't make it into this tier for any of you guys that wasn't even mentioned on the list of the DTC that I talked about. I was kind of surprised a little bit. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about.
He's not that good.
I think I do. He's 17 on my list, Kevin. If I'm thinking right.
I don't know.
17 on mine too. Let's say his name together.
Go ahead.
I'm guessing.
Wait, what?
Go ahead. Let's hear
Sam Darnold.
Oh, I was thinking Mariota.
Neither of you are correct.
Oh.
I was talking about Jameis Winston because
That's
Riley.
such a Bosch and Riley.
I thought you were a Winston guy. So
I have Jameis at 18. We're not at that tier yet. Kevin, give us your tier here before we get to there.
All right, my tier, my tier starts off with Kirk Cousins in this one, and Mitchell Trubisky comes in at number 11 for me. Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy you were talking about earlier, Bosch, who I have in this tier, obviously, that you guys do not believe in. I have Cam Newton at 13, so he drops way down, like I said. Lamar Jackson comes in at 14 for me, and then I actually have Mariota in at 15. So that's my tier of 6 after this. And I guess, with my thoughts on Lamar Jackson, I completely understand you guys. You're both probably right. I'm just not a big believer in quarterbacks of that ilk. I still scarred by RG3, I suppose. So, that's just the mobile quarterbacks that run first and that take hits. I don't like it, and it makes me very nervous. And he's showed to be that type. So,
I don't think that'll prevent his value from being much higher as the 2019 season kicks off.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. We'll see if he gets banged up a little bit over the course of this next few weeks. You could certainly be singing a different tune. All right. So anything else, Riley, that jumps out at you from this tier as far as I put Trubisky at 11, but I'm with you. I'm not a big believer. I think that the season has gone absolutely perfect for the Bears, and I think that the value is just going to continue to rise for him right now.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up a lot like Kansas City, Alex Smith. A lot of good weapons around him. Not a quarterback who you really want to go win a Super Bowl with, but he's going to win you some games, and I think that's going to be the same mindset with dynasty teams. So he's not going to be a guy you're relying on 25 points every week, but he'll be a solid play every week that you're not going to bench, if that makes sense. So I don't see a lot of ceiling to his value, but everybody loves Matt Nagy, and he's the next best thing. And obviously Trubisky's looked better this year than he did last year. I think Prescott's still going to rise because of Amari Cooper. And that's it. I think people are going to love that connection, and I think he's going to rise up even more. I would probably rather have Prescott than Trubisky, but I think the values will be flipped. I think people would easily rather have Trubisky, but I think I'd rather have Prescott.
I think I'd probably take Prescott because you can get him at a better value. I think from player standpoint, they're probably about the same for me, the actual talent-wise and what I expect them to do on the field and produce for my fantasy team. But I think you can get Dak so much cheaper that I would lean him all day long. And, So let's start it off with your next tier, Bosch. Tell me about Jimmy Garoppolo and why he got bumped down. Why do you hate Jimmy Garoppolo?
I clearly hate Jimmy Garoppolo. Look, I haven't seen it from him. You know, he hasn't gone out, and I've seen it from Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan. I've seen it from Dak Prescott and Trubisky. I've seen it from Kirk Cousins, that tier above them. I have seen it a little bit from Lamar Jackson. I have not seen it from Jimmy Garoppolo.
He won 5 games in 2017.
Oh my God. So don't care about that. So
Kevin,
don't care.
please shut up.
Like, oh man. Kevin's like, he's still undefeated in my heart.
7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
I know. I hear you. I hear you. Ryan. When you get to your last tier and he's in there, you can talk about him.
So I mean, I can see your argument for him being there, but I think people are going to be a little bit hesitant to let his value rise like it did last year because people got burned by how much they paid for him. So, you know, he's leading off this next tier, which also then contains Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, Josh Rosen, Derek Carr, and Josh Allen. And those last two, I think I could probably separate into a different tier. But honestly, like all 6 of them kind of feel like the same guy to me, where I don't really know exactly what I'm going to get just yet.
That's fair. So to go back to the Garoppolo point, I will just say one more thing about it before I move on.
You promise?
Yes, I promise. But you have been a big reminder of the fact that Dalvin Cook went up in value.
He sure did.
Not playing a single snap. So when we get towards the beginning of the season, the preseason next year, and everyone, Jimmy Garoppolo is back on the field and he's in a Mike Shanahan offense. Kyle Shanahan offense. Wow, Mike Shanahan. Wow,
that's a throwback.
It's a he's in a Kyle Shanahan offense with George Kittle, who's at this point the best tight end in football, right? I mean, I think that hype's going to start again, and you're going to see that value rise.
I think people will be a little bit leery to let it to let it happen 2 years in a row. If this was the first year of it, I can totally agree with you. I don't think it'll rise as high as it did last time.
All right, Riley, give us your next tier. Move us along here.
Again, I just want to say these are not my rankings. Okay,
gotcha, Riley.
But Garoppolo leads it off. Garoppolo leads it off at 14. If Nick Mullins can do it, so can Jimmy G. So I think that's why he's going to be there. Josh Rosen comes in at 15. Although I would have rather have Rosen than Jimmy G. Let's get that on the table right now. Okay, Riley says Rosen.
So would I. So would I. Kevin, you have to choose. Pick one.
I have Rosen at 9. I'm the highest on Rosen of all of us.
I just wanted to hear you say that you like somebody better than Jimmy G.
I will take Josh Rosen over Jimmy Garoppolo.
Somebody 6 years in age difference. 6 years in age difference there.
Yeah, and that's blatantly. I mean, that's an easy one for me.
Let's see. So I had Garoppolo 14, Rosen 15, Jameis Winston at 16. Drew Brees 17. This is all one tier. Drew Brees 17, Sam Darnold at 18, Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford each at 19 and 20, and that finishes that tier. So I have 7 players in there. It's really a take your pick. Do you want pretty steady production, kind of older players with the Matts? Do you want Darnold, who's going to bust, or do you want Winston, who's basically the same as Darnold apparently because he just can't get his shit together? And then Breeze, it's a weird tier. It's just kind of a take your pick of who you want and how you want to build your team. Personally, I've taken Rosen and Winston. Those are my favorite 2 out of this tier. I think they have high ceilings, and I think they're both going to pull it together. Hopefully Jameis does if he starts driving himself instead of taking Ubers. But yeah, it's an odd tier for me.
You have a huge drop with Stafford there. I mean, like,
so again, not
I think
my
he's a
rankings.
Great go by then.
I agree, but I think everybody's going to be down on him. I think his value is going to be very low because he's done nothing this year.
Yeah, Stafford's not in my next tier either, or because of that. I think that this season has, to your point about people being burned, Bosch. I think that Stafford has hurt a lot of people this year, myself included, because he's on a lot of my rosters, and he has just done very, very little with a very poor offense. And I don't know that they're going to make a coaching change like they probably should in the offseason. So we'll see. Maybe they bring in a new offensive coordinator because, Patricia didn't pick Jim Bob Cooter.
Yeah,
so,
Jim Bob's gone.
Yeah, so
he's gone.
I mean, if they do that and they hire someone good, great. But, it's going to be tough for him. So my next tier, I'm going to call it the maybe tier for me because it's just a bunch of guys that are maybes right now. I mean, Sam Darnold leads it off at 16, mostly because of the age. And in fact, my next two tiers are actually, when I look at the ages, they actually follow the age order. I didn't do that on purpose, but it's an interesting coincidence. So this tier is Darnold at 16, Josh Allen at 17. I sandwich Winston there at 18, and then Dak Prescott at 19 and Derek Carr at 20. So those are all guys that I think have question marks, all guys that are still relatively young, Carr being the oldest at 27. And I think that they've shown flashes from time to time. Darnold a little bit less than others because he's had a pretty rough season, but he has shown the tools to be able to be an NFL quarterback, and he's still only 21. So I like the tier, and I think if this actually is the value of those guys, I might be doing some shopping for these guys in the offseason, which would be great because I think they can be very rosterable guys and serviceable quarterbacks, especially in 2-quarterback leagues. So it's a maybe category for me. Bosch, any thoughts on my maybes?
No, I don't think we were terribly far off. Looking at my list as you were reading yours, I haven't given out Sam Darnold yet because he's starting to worry me, and I think his value is just going to drop. I don't think his value is going to have that spike at all, even with his youth. I think he's going to stay pretty low and be very obtainable. I agree with you 100% that this is the area of quarterback where I want to target and go and add some of these guys to my rosters. If I'm getting an aging veteran, this will be my next tier that we talk about. If I have those guys on my roster, this is the guy that I want to go and target. Somebody in here, somebody like, you guys have the Mats in here. I have them a little bit higher because I still like them a little bit more. I'd love to get one of the young guys, but if I can settle for Derek Carr and have a few more years to just keep pushing down, just keep pushing my teams along with an aging quarterback, I'm okay with that.
So my next tier, I'll kick it off because you mentioned the aging veterans. My next tier is all aging veterans, obviously. And again, they ironically go in order of age. Matthew Stafford, who's 30, comes in at number 21 for me. Matt Ryan, 33 age, and he's 22. Roethlisberger is age 36, and he's 23. Phillip Rivers is age 37, and he's 24. Drew Brees is age 39, and he's 25. And Tom Brady at age 41 is 26 for me. They're all guys that I like having on my roster for as long as I can have them. They're depreciating assets that I think you only use for production, and maybe you flip them when your team is out of it for the season and someone else is looking for a quarterback to replace an injury or something. And that's so that's my aging tier. Riley, I'm assuming you have something similar in your next tier.
Yes, there's one outlier just because I know that the community still hates him. But kicking it off at 21 is I have Tom Brady at 21 just because I know as long as he's playing, he's going to produce. I have Josh Allen at 22. This is where I just don't know. Mariota 23, Rivers 24, Carr at 25, and Roethlisberger at 26. I didn't rank anybody else because I didn't prep. So yeah, I'm glad that Josh Allen is finally getting some well-deserved respect because he has vastly improved since his last year in college, and it's awesome to see. Still hates him. By the way, he has the most rushing yards in NFL history through 3 game stretch, more than Mike Vick. Just saying, keep that in mind. So yeah, I mean, I still like Allen a lot. He's a good buy low for me. I think his value is going to be in that tier.
Here's a question about Allen. Do you think he's running so much because there's legitimately nothing else in that offense? Do you think he will change next year if they bring in some additional weapons?
100%. He's running because Zay Jones isn't getting open. Robert Foster's not getting open. Can we name any other receivers? Probably not.
Nope.
I mean, he's a really good athlete. There were whispers coming out that he's such a bad quarterback, quote unquote, he should play tight end. So I mean, he's a very good athlete, but yeah, he's running now because he doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to.
I think he's running now because he doesn't have anybody to throw it to. I think when you add weapons, I think he's still going to run. There's still going to be plenty of times when even if they have, one or two better receivers out there, still going to be plenty of opportunities for him to tuck and run.
Yeah, but is he going to be an Aaron Rodgers type runner where he gets those first downs and on occasion gets you 8-9 yards, but he's not looking to do it constantly? It's really a matter of extending plays and then finding there's really no more extension. I gotta tuck it and run.
With the success he's had, I'd be surprised if he went all the way down to only trying to get the first down occasionally. I think it'll be. I mean, why would you? If you're the coach, wouldn't you want him? You don't want him to get hurt, but wouldn't you want him to go out and use that as a weapon if he's got it?
Kind of like Mariota. Mariota's not a burner, but he's a really good runner, and I think Allen can be a really good runner.
Agreed.
All right, let's keep moving here, Bosch. What's your final tier? I guess I should revisit the list here. We left off at 20 or on the DTC calculator with Ben Roethlisberger. Rivers is 21. Darnold came in at 22. Mariota at 23. Winston at 24. Derek Carr at 25. Allen all the way at 26 there, Riley. Andy Dalton comes in at 27. Joe Flacco at 28. Ryan Tannehill at 29, and Blake Bortles still clinging to the top 30 at number 30.
So this is where I'm now at number 22 for me, and it's Sam Darnold, and he could just as easily be in the tier above, based only on his age. And I he was a guy that I liked a lot. Rosen was my number one, or it might have been Mayfield. I don't know. I had all three. I had those top three pretty even. Like I liked all of them, but he has looked pretty bad, pretty bad this year, even though he's got a terrible offense as well. He's looked bad. So I think his value is just going to plummet, which is good. Go buy him. And then I do have all the aging vets here. This is where I have Drew Brees, then Tom Brady, then Ben Roethlisberger, then Phillip Rivers. You can even throw Andy Dalton in here. I don't think Andy Dalton's aging out of the league, but there's something about eventually the Bengals are going to have to make a decision. And I don't know how much further they can go with him. I guess if they continue to have Marvin Lewis around, they'll continue to have Andy Dalton around. He's going to continue to be a safe, okay quarterback 2 on your roster. Other than that, I don't think he has much value. So that's where I stand with the aging vets. And this is where I kind of stopped ranking because everybody after this has almost no value to me, unfortunately.
Sure. Riley, did you continue on or...
No, I mean, unless you want me to rank Joe Flacco and Andy Dalton, and Blake Bortles.
Andy Dalton has some value, like Flacco and Bortles and Alex Smith. Unfortunately, I don't see how they have any value in single quarterback, right?
I think it's. Sorry, I was just gonna say I think it's very possible Cincinnati invests some draft stock in a quarterback in 2019.
It's funny. I was going to say the same thing. My last tier is those guys that we don't care about: Dalton, Flacco, Tannehill. I even put Bortles in there because why not? But
yeah. I forgot about Tannehill. He's interesting because I think Gase likes him, and he's played sneaky well this year.
Yeah,
I don't love him.
I think they're doing well enough for Gase to keep his job, and that will give Tannehill a job. But again, he's the type. Him and Dalton. To your point, I think you're going to start to see those. It's like that. It'll be like that creeping scale for quarterback picks, right? They'll start with picking a guy in the 4th round, and then they'll pick a quarterback in the 3rd round the next year, 2nd round, and at some point they're going to hit on one. And if they do get value on a 1st round pick of a top pick that falls, I think you can be sure that those are the teams that'll pounce.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't shock me if Miami takes Justin Herbert. Apparently they love him. So if he declares and they're picking what
they're not going to
16 or 17.
They're not going to pick in the top 5. He'll still go in the top 5.
I
know you're not big on him, but I don't think
I like Herbert, but I don't think he's a lock to go top 5. But you never know. They could make a move. They could trade up for him.
He's like the only guy in the class, right? I mean, those guys go early.
I hope Haskins declares. He's going to be my number 1.
All right.
If he declares.
All right. I think that just about does it for this discussion. Bosch, any final words on why we might do this and why it's a good idea for people to think in this type of, lens?
Yeah, I mean, for me, because as soon as the season's over, I want to be the first one going out and seeking players for next year. I don't want to be caught off guard in any league where a trade goes down that, I was being lazy and I wasn't looking forward to 2019 yet. So that's my main reason for doing it, is so that I can really be planning and prepared, so that as soon as I can start making trades again, I can go out and do it. I do want to ask a question of the guys that are like 20 and below on your all's lists. Somebody's gonna pop and make a jump, right? Like every year there's some quarterback that kind of has an unexpected season. Who is that for you guys that you think can pop up into a quarterback 1 situation?
Josh Allen. Easy,
Kevin?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, see, I have Allen at 17, so he'd be out of the range of Boss's question. So for me, I think Stafford has a chance if given a new offense, because I think he's a talented quarterback, right? And they do have good pieces on the offensive line that don't seem to be playing very well this year. And if they can be more consistent with Kerryon Johnson, I think he's a guy that could easily increase in value very quickly. He was. You saw the DTC value on him was at 12, right? I think he could easily get back up into that with some good weapons put in the offense outside of Galladay, right? So there's that. And then, I think it might take for any of these guys, it might take into a quarter of next season. So you're not necessarily preseason. You got to see it a little bit first, but Stafford or maybe Derek Carr is the only other one I could think of. He's 20 for me, and I think he could jump. I don't know that I trust Gruden, but there is a chance that offense gets better once he gets all of these draft picks in and figures out what he's going to do and gets the team set up the way he wants it. So what about you, Bosch?
Yeah, for me, I think I kind of have to agree with Riley. I think Josh Allen has, of the guys down there, I think he's got the biggest opportunity, just because for me, he's pretty far down on the list at 21. So, Winston and Mariota, I have a little bit higher, so it's not like it would be a huge jump for them. While I think they can make it, I think Josh Allen's the one that could go from being the cheapest to having a really high value increase.
Yeah, I do see him, like I said, I have him at 17. I do see a jump there as well. Have him up higher. It's just a little higher for me already. So, Riley, any thoughts on this exercise as you were doing it while we were podcasting? Is kind of new to you too. So any thoughts on that?
Well, I want to state one more time, these are not my rankings, because I would have Allen higher.
We'll put the disclaimer in the show notes, I promise.
Put them in all caps and bold it and underline it. Nothing that stands out really. Just I would say go buy some of the younger guys that I think could definitely just rise in value starting next year when their teams are better. Rosen, even Winston. I know he's been frustrating, but heck, if his value is low enough, go see if you can give Matt Ryan for Winston. Because Ryan, his ceiling's not getting any higher. See if you could do that. Josh Allen, like I said, I think Dak, because Dak and Amari Cooper are going to have a nice little thing together, and people in your league just might value it higher. They'll think Dak is, the next thing where he was last year.
Plus, Noah Brown's starting next year.
Hell yeah, he is. Oh gosh, I can't talk about him anymore.
So
the hope's still there.
Just to be clear, for somebody to go from really far down, like Ryan Tannehill, it would basically take a miracle, right, Kevin?
That's just rude, Bosch. It's just mean. It's just mean. Obviously, you're referring to the Miami Miracle this past weekend that ruined my Patriots.
Oh, I'm sorry.
day.
I can't even thought of that. My bad.
I didn't get that. Yeah.
It's very nice of you. So we're going to wrap up on that note. And just once again, want to remind everyone that
the only thing worse is playing Gronk at safety.
Wow. Still had to just keep that going.
Yeah. All right. I'm good. I'm done.
It was a bad decision.
All right, so we're going to wrap up on that note, and I'm going to remind everyone that you can get a Dynasty Wall Street t-shirt. It's got the nice Wall Street sign on a black t-shirt. It's soft cotton. It's $20. You can hit us up on Twitter. Let us know your size and your address, and we'll get them shipped out to you. And you can hit up Dynasty Wall Street, ST for street on that. John Bosch at John Bosch FF, at Kevin Cotillo, at DTC_Riley B. And let us know what you want there, and we'll get those out to you. And then we'll be back. We're going to do these a little bit. We'll try to do these a little more frequently than our normal every other week for our shows with this series of players. So we'll be doing quarterback. We did quarterback tonight. We'll be doing running back, wide receiver, and tight end in upcoming shows. So look forward to those. And until then, we'll talk to you later.